He's definitely a superior clinician, whatever anybody says. I mean, he knew it was herpes, and I had no idea. So
we always have to escalate in the Doctor Who universe, so it would be like super herpes, or dare I even say super duper herpes.
A multi-dimensional herpes. It actually, instead of sores, it opens little tiny gateways to other realms. We'll say other portals to other destinations in the multiverse.
I mentioned super herpes to somebody as a joke one time at a party. Like, you want to be careful. Like, you'll get super herpes. And she was like, "What's super herpes?" I was like, "Oh, it's bad. It's really bad."
The best part of that to me is the assumption that if the medical community encountered a more virulent form of herpes, they would just say, "Let's just go with super herpes." Send the press release. Tell people to double bag it.
And even then, you're never really sure. 100%.
You never know. I do have to say the herpes multiverse thing, that probably is the grossest physics joke I've ever made. Maybe that's just a new frame of reference to think about black holes. Is they're just swirling herpes sores, but on an intergalactic scale.
It's galaxy herpes.
Yeah, pretty much, I guess.
Huh. Well, that blows my mind.
'Tis an ill wind that blows no minds.
Have we just discovered unified theory by accident?
Maybe.
And it's in the form of universal galactic herpes?
Well, we know we won't get very far if we email Stephen Hawking, Mr. Black Hole himself.
I think we should skip peer review and just go right to the newspapers.
That's easy, though. You can go right to the newspapers with, shit, I can't think of anything in the newspapers. Lately, that was bullshit, but that's too easy. We still got to try to trick Nature into publishing it, or Science. That's how you know a journal's really good. It's just one word.
Well, that sort of, I guess, eliminates the Lancet.
Yeah.
Unless the doesn't count.
Well, is it? Well, that's the thing. This isn't worth Googling, but I'll have to find out if it's the Lancet or just Lancet.
Huh. I always heard people say the, but maybe they were wrong.
Maybe they're just assholes.
They could be.
It also just, the funny thing about that journal, and the only reason I know this is because my wife does medical type shit, is that whenever I heard it, it always sounded like Lance It, which is you Lance boils and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is there a journal named with a phrase like Lancet? It's all about, it's really just a pictorial of people just popping boils and nasty shit.
I could totally see you thinking that, though, being the guy who also postulated Koenig's theory of galactic super herpes.
It's just my brain goes funny places.
Well, I thought of Lancet, or the Lancet, or whatever, because of the whole Andrew Wakefield anti-vaccination bullshit that happened a few years ago, where he had all that fake crap in there about vaccines, and it got retracted. And
yeah.
So I would say, just contact the Lancet/Lancet and, be like, guys, galactic super herpes. Go.
Run amok with that shit. God, the vaccine thing just reminds me of that wall of separation that exists between researchers, academics, and the public.
Yeah.
And how sometimes it's funny how shit that people really actually need to know doesn't get out, and then stuff in this trial where I had because even before he was forced to look at it again and clean up the data or whatever the fuck they did with him, he only had 20 something people in it.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And you really do have to have a profound misunderstanding of what counts as evidence to go, holy shit, 25 people and some of them got autism or something?
Yeah, Jesus Christ, even the show Family Feud surveys 100 people.
I know. It's the same same thing, just to, introduce yet another place with this is the evidence people hit on for a long time that heterosexual and homosexual people had different brains was based on like 19 different brains. That this guy was like, oh, it's clear that this part of the brain that's bigger in straight men is also the same size in gay women and lesbians. And it's like, well, you might want to throw more few brains in the mix there, buddy.
Yeah, that's a classic methodological error, is to have too small of a sample size. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know about that, and you know, at the risk of running on, a dry subject, you know, there's sort of a whole method to understanding methodology. I guess that's a really stupid thing to say now that I just said it, but there's sort of
very meta.
There's sort of a list of things like that are important in methodology, and most of the regular jack-offs out there, and actually a lot of professionals too, have no idea what proper methodology is. And actually, this regular jack-off talking to you now, I'm sad to say, knows, you know, a fair amount about it, and it's enormously disappointing to like look at the world and like if people just did methodology properly, like science would progress so much faster. But you know, people just sort of, I don't know what it is, whether they just have selective memories or they want something, you know, or it's a combination of things. But yeah, the methodological errors out there are just a shitstorm of suckage, you know, to not use too technical of a term.
Well, yeah. I mean, we can't talk forever necessarily about methodology, but yeah, definitely a major fuck up. I think can be adequately described as a shitstorm. I'm good with that.
So yeah, maybe someday, you know, I'll like go over it very quickly if it's relevant somehow. But I do think people should know about stuff like that. But
well, yeah. At risking a self-reflective moment, we don't have like a set. Like in case people are listening and wondering, we didn't plan to talk about like any of this shit. Like however many minutes we've even been talking, however long the show's been going, we basically just sat down and said, let's talk about some shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
like we got this idea because we sort of come up with crazy ideas, I guess, and we thought it might be a good idea to start recording them. I don't know, sort of an experiment just to see what happens. And
Well, yeah, just because we, you know, have a good time talking about random shit, and you know, we like other people that try to do the same thing out there in the world. You know, that put effort into just sort of putting on a good show, talking about stuff that, you know, they hope is interesting to other people, and you know, trying to put our own spin on it, I guess.
yeah,
Or in a particular style.
sort of think of us as your riffing buddies.
Yeah, more or less.
There was a smile there, and there should have been that ding sound effect when a tooth sparkles.
Ah, yeah.
Ding.
The guy with the one gold tooth.
Or just he has like really great pearly whites. You know, he's that douchebag with like, he smiles like right as he's about to sell you a used car that doesn't work. Ding.
It's slightly different in anime, I think I've noticed. I don't know if you've watched much anime. I probably have watched more than the average bear, but their little sparkle thing is always like next to the eye or near the forehead. And it took me a while to catch on. I was like, what is up with this person? Like, for whatever reason, we have the shiny teeth. Maybe I'm totally making shit
Well,
up.
I've never really watched anime, so like I'm gonna defer to you on this one.
Okay.
I mean, that sounds like I've seen like little tiny bits of anime, and it sounds like something they would do, and I sort of remember what you're talking about, but like I don't know why they would do it. I mean, sure, like
Oh, who the fuck knows
You
why
know.
they would do it? I don't.
sure they do it, but so yeah. So in real life, though, my teeth very rarely ding people. Just, you know,
Oh, that's right. That's why we would start talking about it.
unless I put it in post, which I may
Fair
do
enough.
someday.
You know, our goal is to do good radio.